Now, let us get inside the application to see it. Once the Department Nodal Officer for Audit provides access of the system to the auditor can log in into Audit application and get to this section to list department files. There are several parameters available such as file subjects, file heads and even the list of dealing sections to help narrow down the domain of search based on which auditor can place request for any file. From here, auditor can request any file from the department user as required, and then the file request initiated by auditor is sent to all the users in the dealing section of that respective file. Now, let's have a look how the department user can submit the requested file to the auditor through the eFile system. In File Management System, the user will receive the file requests from the auditor under Audit module in eFile, as well as here under Alerts and Notifications on the eFile dashboard. Upon clicking on files requested by auditor from the dashboard or by selecting the Request List option under the Audit module in Navigation panel, user can view a list of all audit requests made by the auditor for that specific section. From the top right corner, users can utilize the filter option to refine the file request list based on request date and audit type. Next to each file request, there is a Mark for Audit option available to mark the file to the auditor. However, it is important to note here that Mark for Audit option will only be available for files that are currently present with user in their account. If file is in closed folder or not with the user, then Mark for Audit option will not be visible until file is reopened or returned to this user, respectively. Next, to submit a file for audit, click on Mark for Audit option. User has to enter the mandatory remark, while the parking due date will come auto-filled as end date of the audit taking place. And then click on Submit option. All files submitted for audit by the user are simultaneously parked and now visible under the Parked folder. The audit status for all these submitted files will be updated to Under Audit. The file submitted by user will now be available to the auditor in read-only mode. The auditor can view every section of the file, along with a summarized view of all its components such as notings, correspondences, annexures, other details and etc. Once the file audit is complete, the auditor returns the file to the user, and the audit status in the user's parked folder for this file will be updated to completed, signifying successful completion of the audit for the file. Users can then unpark these files and can continue with necessary work on it. In some exceptional case scenarios, other than completed, audit status can be returned or again marked for audit. If the audit status is updated to returned, it indicates that the auditor has returned the file without conducting an audit. This typically occurs when the auditor has mistakenly requested the wrong file or when the audit of the requested file is no longer necessary. If the audit status for a file under audit is updated to mark for audit again, it suggests that maybe some additional information is required in the submitted file for auditing. Another scenario for this is when a user urgently needs the file for processing and has requested its return from the auditor mid-audit. In response, the auditor has the option to return the file and subsequently request it again for audit. Users can refer requested remarks to understand the additional information requested or any other comment put by auditor while returning the file in any of the scenarios and have access to complete audit history under the Details option in the action bar on the file's inner page. Once audit is complete, user can finally unpark the file. Thank you.